Hey guys, and welcome to what's going to be my first ever review of what will hopefully be a series of reviews of some of the Funko Pops. Now, today's pop I've chosen is going to be a Yellowjacket from Marvel's Ant-Man, and you can see from the top here that it's number 86 in the Marvel Pop series. You'll also note from the bottom here that this one is a bobblehead. Some of the Funko Pops you get are kind of fixed in place so they just don't move, but this is one of the ones with actual bobble on the top. So let's go ahead and start having a look first of all at the box itself. So as I've just said, this is number 86 in the general Marvel Pop series, but it's specifically from the first Ant-Man film. And let's just go ahead and have a quick look. So you can already see him sitting inside the packaging. Round on the side we have his head popping over the top, and I like the way they do that on the top actually, because when I take them out of the box I store the boxes along top of the cupboard, and they actually look quite good with the little heads popping over the top of the cupboard. On the back you'll see again it's part of the main Ant-Man series, a part of the Avengers initiative. And so you see you've also got number 85 for the first Ant-Man and number 86 for this particular pop, the Yellowjacket. So let's go ahead and get it open. Let's make sure we get the lighting on the right side so that we can see it. So, here we go. So, first things first, this is one of the standard pops, so it's just your normal size, which is I think 6 inches, but I have to check. And as I said previously, you'll notice this one is in fact a bobblehead. So you get a bit of movement, not too much, and what I like about this one is sometimes when you get the bobblehead pops, the way the heads are attached, you can see the spring underneath if you look at the bottom, but some of them the heads are actually slightly too high from the body and you can actually see the spring sticking out in between, which kind of spoils the whole effect. But that's not the case with this one. This one's a particularly good one, and you can see everything just fine. Sorry about what happened with the focus there. So, one of the most important things I like about this particular pop, I think, is it's not one of the generic models. So one of the issues I have with the pops sometimes is you can tell that they've essentially taken exactly the same body and head, and all they've done is repainted the actual, the exact same unit for different pops. But this one, which has something I always like, has special modelling to actually make it distinct from all the other pops that are available. So in this particular case, first of all on the front, have his kind of mouth breather as part of the suit. You have this kind of cracking around the eyes underneath the helmet, which the eyes show through. And then you have on the back the Yellowjacket lasers, which if any of you have seen the Ant-Man film, you'll know are kind of the main weapon of choice in the film. So I thought we'd just have a look at a bit of the colouring detail and a bit of kind of the quality of the finish so that we can have a proper review of the pop itself. Now, these are always slightly difficult bits to do because these pops are all hand finished, so it does mean that whereas you may get exactly the same pop in terms of your selection, one may be slightly better painted than the other, and some may have blemishes, some may not. But we're just having a look at this one for today. But you know, you should bear that in mind when you look at the pops, that you know, guarantee of quality on one isn't necessarily guarantee of quality for another. Now, there's actually a fair amount of detail on this particular pop. So you have all the yellow, obviously, of the suit itself. What you often get with these pops is when it comes to kind of fiddly bits like here, sometimes they can be slightly over-painted so the colours overlap, or sometimes you get some crusting where there's been too much paint put on and therefore you kind of get this extra layer on top which looks a bit odd. But that's not the case with this one. This one's pretty well painted, to be honest. I don't know if this is coming up in focus, but you know, there's a bit of an overlap there between the two colours, for example. But for the most part, it's all very well painted. And I think, actually, as far as pops go, this is probably kind of one of the better looking ones. I really like the level of detail that you get. And I think that all round it's a pretty good representation of Yellowjacket from the movie. So all of that leaves me on to my final part of the substantial review itself. And this might seem like a pretty minor point to many people, but for me it's actually fairly important. And that's how stable the pop is just standing up. So some of the pops you'll get have a little plastic circular base on the bottom which will go into a small hole on the bottom of one's foot, and that basically stops it from toppling over. Not all of them have them, and I don't know what Funko does in order to decide which one gets one and which one doesn't. But this one doesn't have one, as you can see. There's no hole and there's no circular disc. However, it's a very stable pop. So I can hit the table next to it, nothing's going to happen. When it's standing up in my display shelf, it sits there on the shelf, and if I walk past or I open the door, it'll stay standing. Now that's very good, and what you'll see from one of my later reviews is that sometimes Funko hasn't quite got this right, and just walking past my display cabinet can make a pop just topple over, which is somewhat frustrating to say the least. But this one is very sturdily built, and I've never had any issues with it whatsoever. So that just takes us to the score. Now, this section I didn't know whether to include, and I'd really like your guys' feedback in the comments below as to whether or not you actually think a score is helpful or adds anything. I mean, I'm always slightly wary whenever I do scores for other things that if I don't know what to score something at, it normally ends up as a 7, and I don't want this to be the case with this series of reviews. So let me know if you think a score is going to be helpful, but onto the score for this pop, and we'll take it from there. So as I've already indicated, I really like this pop. I think it's very distinct. Its building model is different from many of the pops you'll get. It's not just a generic one repainted. The box is really good. I think the painting job has been done really well, and it's a pretty unique and expressive pop. And for those reasons, I would give this particular pop, Yellowjacket, an 8 out of 10. So that's bringing my review to an end, but if you fancy getting a hand on a pop yourself, then have a look at the website popinabox.co.uk. It's where I get mine from. They send me 2 every month as part of a subscription. I'm in no way affiliated with them, but if you enter their website through the link in the address in the comments box below, you'll get 20% off any subscription that you happen to make, and for all of you do that, I get a free pop myself. So if you enjoyed the review, check out the website below and get popping.